Hey, it's Mark with another Super Bowler Smash Attack video, and today it is a center town hall base with sometimes you see this every once in a while where the heroes are around the outside edge. In this case, they are kind of on either side. They're not all grouped together. Sometimes the heroes will be all grouped together on the outside. But in this case, they're a little bit more isolated. And so that can create a challenge for this Super Bowler attack because the Flame Flinger, can't deal with those heroes. So you have to do something to handle them if you have to put a Flame Flinger in the same corner as a hero. And sometimes just using the Yetis that you would normally use to distract with mortars or to trigger traps. Sometimes those are enough with a headhunter to take down the hero so that it doesn't affect the Flame Flinger. And so in this case, the town hall is in the center, and so the Flame Flinger is not going to be able to get the town hall. So we have to look for where the Flame Flinger can go as the first priority. And in this case, so I almost always will start looking for like where expos are located. And here we can see they're mostly around, kind of around the town hall here, a little bit more in the center. There's this one that's off a little bit, but this base does look a little wonky. It's, when things start to look a little bit kind of, I don't know, kind of random, less symmetric, then those bases are, I say they don't tend to be as good. I mean, like an odd thing is this the air sweepers kind of on the outside like this. That's pretty weird. And the clan castle just sort of off on its own on the edge. That's odd too. So when I see a base that's kind of like this, I'm like, probably not the best base in the world. But one thing for a Super Bowler attack is this base is at least inside the walls is fairly compact. And so that tends to be good for Super Bowler attacks and the bounces. They can usually crush through this type of a kind of compact bases pretty quickly. And so let's think about the Flame Flinger again, where that's going to go. So starting at 6 o'clock, the clan castle. I'm not especially like for a Legends attack. I'm not going to mess with a corner that's got the clan castle in it, and because the first part of the attack is the Flame Flinger and the Grand Warden walk, and just establishing kind of a funnel. That is, we're not looking to pull the clan castle with that kind of an entry, and so Flame Flinger is not going to be at 6 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock there is the Grand Warden. So which is actually not a problem for the Flame Flinger. And obviously the Grand Warden doesn't move around. It's just a standing defensive building, and the Flame Flinger outranges it. So it's actually good to put the Flame Flinger on a Grand Warden side. So that would be an option. No expos to worry about. The mortars, if we kind of look at where the mortars are too, besides the expos, they are kind of more internal. There's one kind of more on the edge over here. And so Yeah, that's not going to be like an immediate problem. I don't think the mortars. So that's a possibility. Put the Flame Flinger over on the at 9 o'clock. If we did that, then we're not going to put the Warden at 6. We'd have to put the Warden at 12, and that is a possibility. And then we could try to take the king out with the smash. So with that main entry, when I see the king over on this kind of 10:30 side, and I see the queen over at the 2:30 here, they're kind of, those two heroes are sort of located where the main smash part of the attack is going to come in, and so I'm tempted to want to come in one of those two sides just to be able to take those big heroes out right away with the smash attack. So it's not like the Warden is going to take it out, or it's not the Flame Flinger that's worrying about it. It's going to be the main part of the attack. And so, yeah, one of those two entries is one that I would be kind of wanting to do. And I tend to favor wanting, you could go either way really, but I tend to favor wanting to take the queen out right away, just because of the queen can just wreck an army if it starts targeting like super bowlers, say, or even heroes. I mean, the queen can just obviously just devastate an army. So I kind of like the idea of starting on the queen side when the army is the strongest and just smash right through her and get rid of her pretty quick. The nice thing about the queen for trying to take her out is she just doesn't have as many hit points, so she can go down a lot more quickly than, say, the king. And so that's kind of a key thing that I would be thinking about doing. And so let's look at an entry for that edge. So an entry coming in the queen side at like 2:30, and Flame Flinger and Warden options. And let's see. So the Flame Flinger, we already said, could go at 12. There's not even any mortars up there. So that's pretty appealing. There's like nothing to worry about for the Flame Flinger. It can just kind of work away. And it's not until this expo here, which is an air expo, that the Flame Flinger would have to worry about anything. And it should do some residual damage against that expo too, because these buildings are just there's one tile. There's a wall between them, but it's just one tile, and so there should be some residual damage that helps weaken that expo. It kind of depends on, sometimes what can happen with that residual damage is that say the Flame Flinger is targeting this archer tower, and it's actually landing hits on the archer tower. Well, residual damage can start bringing down these cannons next to it, and if those cannons go down because of residual damage, then the expo is not going to get any residual damage to take it down potentially. So something to kind of think about, I guess. Over on this side at the 3 o'clock is, besides that mortar, I mean, there's just one mortar. It's not that, Yetis should be able to kind of tank for that, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And there's a scattershot that's kind of near the edge, which is another oddball type of a thing on a base, making me kind of think, oh, this is not exactly the strongest base. And that would be a good thing to put the Flame Flinger against. The one thing about this 3 o'clock side that I'm not crazy about putting the Flinger over there is just this simple wall. I mean, it doesn't look like much, and the Flame Flinger can just kind of go around it, but it will affect how the Flame Flinger paths though. And so the Flame Flinger is not going to come in like straight from the corner. It's going to be coming in from around those walls. And so yeah, that it could have it's debatable. I mean, it could really put the Flame Flinger in on that side too. And the Warden, there's not a lot else happening over besides that that scatter shot that would affect the Warden. This Expo is far back, so that's not going to bother the Warden. And there's not a lot of point defenses around here. And so the Warden can get this scatter shot without being under heavy attack by other defenses. So so yeah, I mean, that's appealing too. That's probably the main thing. I sort of feel like that, I think the Warden can handle that corner, and I don't have to worry about the Flame Flinger kind of going around these walls over here in the corner. Yeah, so that's kind of my thinking here. And so for pathing to the town hall, then I'd break in with a super wall break, like maybe around this archer tower, and then there's a break in the wall right there by the eagle, and so you don't really need to have a jump to get through there, because there's that gap. Troops will funnel through there, but I'm probably still gonna put, I have 2 jumps in this army no matter what. If it were a war attack, maybe that would be a reason to take 1 less jump, potentially, but yeah, I don't know. I might still bring it. The thing about when you have the jump is then it really opens up that path. I mean, the troops are not going to kind of just funnel into that little tiny crack there. You're going to have a nice path with the jump for the troops to come straight in, and I wouldn't want the jump to open up the walls to the town hall. Because I don't want the troops to funnel in or to pass through the town hall poison bomb, and so I'll avoid trying to get the jump to get into that town hall compartment there. I actually kind of like it when the town hall has walls around it like that, because super bowlers have no problems. I mean, they're a ranged troop, and so they can take that town hall no problem without having to go through those walls. And so the second jump would be more probably, in this case, since there's all these little compartments, it's probably going to be something where I sort of decide that on the fly. It kind of depends on where the troops go. But if I'm coming in from this eagle side, then the bowlers are probably, looks like there's an opening above the town hall there. The bowlers are probably going to go, you'd think they'd go around like to the wizard tower and expo, and so maybe I would end up putting like a jump on top of this elixir storage, something like that. It's just to get the troops, if they to keep them pathing along. Really, you just want to keep them moving along. And you want the bowlers and the healers just to kind of march along together, is kind of the main idea. And so, or just to like escape that kind of center area to get to the backside of the base. And so if I'm thinking about doing an entry like that, so the queen side entry, especially like if I'm trying to plan, say this were a war attack, like Clan War League or war attack, I would be thinking about when there's heroes on the edge like this, I would be thinking about what am I going to do to handle these heroes. The king is on this 10:30 side. The royal champion is kind of like 6 o'clock. And so in a war attack type of a situation, a lot of times what I'll try to do, I do bring a skeleton spell with this army, And a skeleton spell is good to use on heroes. It's mostly to distract them so that the rest of your army can take the hero down, and without having the defending hero is just going to be kind of whacking away at the skeletons as they spawn, and your main army will take out the hero. And and so I will be thinking about doing that now. If we do the Flame Flinger up at 12 o'clock, and the Warden at 3, that means that the Flinger is going to probably, most likely, travel down toward the king side. That's typically what happens. Is the Flame Flinger is not gonna, it's gonna follow the edge, not on the entry side, because the entry is gonna be knocking out buildings. So the Flame Flinger is gonna be coming down this edge, and come up with that king. And so inside the clan castle is the offensive clan castle is a couple of Yetis and a valk and a couple of sneaky goblins. That's normally what I take. And the Yetis are pretty good on the king. I wouldn't normally expect the Yetis to just take the king out completely, because the king just has massive hit points. But sometimes I can, besides the Yeti, I can either use a headhunter, and I do bring one headhunter with this army, so I could bring a headhunter to help take that king out, and that should probably do it. 2 Yetis with a headhunter is most likely going to do it, unless the headhunter gets taken out by other defenses. So the Yetis are there to kind of help tank for that headhunter, and a wizard or a couple of wizards could also help out, and so I do have something to kind of help with that king with the Yetis and the valk in the clan castle, and then on the bottom is the royal champion. And so that would be a spot that I'd be thinking maybe I would use a skeleton spell there. And, oftentimes I might use a skeleton spell and a headhunter, especially when they're like off on the edge like this. And so while the hero is going away at the skellies, the headhunter will be taking out the royal champion. It's that type of an idea. But this is Legends attack, so it'll be kind of more on the fly. And let's see what happens here. We'll get the replay started, and up at 12 o'clock is the Yeti with the Flame Flinger, and the Warden over at 3 o'clock. The Warden, that wall in the corner does not affect it at all, because the Warden just floats over walls, and they're just kind of working away on either corner, clearing the corners out. And so here's the one thing I have to watch out for is is the Warden going to engage with the Queen, and that could happen. Here the Warden is going after the scattershot, so that's perfect. That way I can, as soon as the Warden takes out the scattershot, I don't really need the Warden to take out that air defense because it's on the main path, but here starts to come the main army. The Yeti to help with the funneling, and then the ice golems to tank with the Queen. I did put the headhunter in. It wasn't the best for taking the Queen out there. The Queen took out that headhunter, but the Queen did go after the ice golems, and that allowed the rest of the troops to just kind of take it out. And we can see that the Yetis are going to go after the king there. And I've got the jump to bring the troops in to the town hall, and the Yetis, they didn't take out too much damage out of the king there. And here, see, the troops are just kind of going around the town hall area. They're not going through, except for the warden can float over the wall. And the troops are coming down at 6 o'clock here. That the royal champion is. This is when I'll be thinking about putting the skeleton spell down on the hero, because I don't want the royal champion to get there. I put the skeleton spell on that royal champion, and check out what happens here. My royal champion ability took out the defenses over there. There's no defenses targeting those skellies except for the defensive royal champion. And look at this. The skeleton spells all by themselves are going to take down that royal champion. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. I didn't even think that would be a possibility, but there it is. That was very, so I have to keep that in mind. If a hero is isolated on the edge, I mean, if there were defenses over there, they would be taking out skellies too, and I don't think that the skellies could take out the royal champion. But if the defenses are not around the hero, the skellies can actually take down the hero on their own.